Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And it's really rather hard to believe, but we're here at the finale of the 2013 GPVWC Supercup season. What a season it has been. Many dominating drivers, many surprises, lots of excellent racing. But right here, right now, one question is on the mind of everyone. Who will win the 2013 Drivers' Championship? Will it be Italy's Scuderia Basilia driver, Giuseppe Ranieri, or will it be the Englishman, Oscar Hardwick, driving for Constructors' Champions CSG? 6 points separates the two entering this event, and with rain forecast, there is certainly plenty of excitement as to whether someone can make a mistake, whether someone can have a flawless race, and whether others might interrupt the process. We have had, in the last couple of races, the Argentine Agustin Canapino and the Finn Mikko Sukas show their final cards, and they seem to be on the pace here, as we are about 8.5 minutes left of qualifying here. Mikko Sukas leading from Canapino, in fact. Oh, it's very exciting with 47 laps of this Interlagos circuit to race. Well, I think we'll let the drivers do the talking and racing on track. My name is James Kirk, and hopefully we'll have my usual co-commentator Lewis McGlade along late, but he has been out for the entire day. So we're unsure on where he is. If he does come, I'm sure he'll pop his head in and fill in the void, which is quite a big void. I always love having Lewis in the box. But anyway, we digress. Your top 10 currently is now actually Canapino, who's moved into first. Ranieri is second, Sukas third, Clont fourth, Tom Parker in fifth, Oscar Hardwick in sixth, which is not really where he needs to be. Kenny Liebert in seventh, with James Johnson not making his debut for Vodball Racing. I believe he did have one race earlier in the year, but he makes a return here, and in P8 as well, so a good effort from the Englishman. Mikael Tumala was in P9, has just been knocked down to P10 as Florian Gehr, who is making his debut here in the Super Cup for PB Racing, slots himself into fourth position. Highly impressive, and in general practice looked to be very much on the pace of Ranieri, the German. Possibly another name to throw into the mix when looking for possible contenders for the race victory here. So let's have a little look here at what else has been going on. I'm not too sure. I think we've got no one else making a debut. I know we've got Oskari Kantonen returning for Vodball Racing, and in fact, this is rather interesting for Vodball Racing, because remember the start of the year we had Morten Vernus and Dan Rusu, very solid duo. Then we had Dan Rusu leave about halfway through the year to be replaced by Dawe Tapper for a bit. We had Oskari come in, I believe it was it Indianapolis? Ooh, I can't remember, but I remember he was let down, possibly. Or no, he didn't. I forget my history. But anyway, Oskari does certainly have the pace, and we've seen in Formula Challenge where he's won multiple races, and we have seen it here, and he's definitely doing well to be in ninth. Who's that who's moved up, though? I think that's Liebert who's moved up into seventh position. And so that means that Mikael Tumar is actually out of the top 10, although he moves himself up into the top 10 now. And oh, hello! Oh, my word! I've just seen Kenny Liebert spinning around, and that's because we have rain. And we thought this might happen. We thought it might rain at some point during this race evening. And with roughly 5.5 minutes left of qualifying, I don't think we're going to be seeing any new times coming up, unfortunately. Because it is, God, it's bucketing down. Really is. It's just come out of absolutely nowhere. And unless we have the rain disappear and the track dry up as quickly as it has got wet, then I think it's pretty clear to say that I reckon Canapino is going to be taking his second pole position of the year here. Yeah, I'm just looking at Liebert now, really struggling to get around, and it looks like, yeah, they're all coming into pit. I think Ranieri is one of the only ones who's going round again, along with his teammate Martin Bolgin. Perhaps a futile effort, but he's really struggling down the centre S and round turn 3 as well. So whether that's a good idea for Giuseppe is debatable, because if it does clear up and you can get one last lap in, if Ranieri bins on this lap, then he's not going to be able to get a lap in. But anyway, looking at penalties, we don't actually have any penalties, I don't think. Which is nice. It means that we don't have to worry about the grid changing about whatsoever. We had plenty of penalties to talk about in Japan, but they have all been served. And oh, Ranieri, round he goes. And has he hit the wall? Oh, he has hit the wall, but he has been able to... yeah, there doesn't seem to be any visible damage. But I tell you what, these Super Cup cars, if you haven't heard me talk about them before, believe me, they are so fragile. You know, one slight tap of the wall and you can have suspension damage. And I took the effort to go round the Interlagos circuit in a Super Cup car myself, and these things are so difficult to drive. You know, do not take it away from any of these drivers, whether they're at the sharp end of the field like Canapino or Ranieri, or near the rear of the field like Andreas Waters or Brandon Warren currently, who occupy P21 and P22. The fact that all these guys are able to get around the circuit in fast times as well. I mean, how much time is separating? Only 2.7 seconds separate the entire field. Highly impressive field of 2013. And I think it's only slightly been marred by the fact that those that are at the sharp end of the field have just been so good. We had James Shepherd at the start of the year. We had Oscar Hardwick with his domination of pole positions. I think it was 5-6 pole positions in a row the Englishman had. Ranieri with all those race wins, Canapino, and you had the odd ones out as well on their day. Grimseth, Lapala, Loknovsky, Miko Sukas was looking good for the majority of the Japanese race just 2 races ago. And I think it's pretty clear to say that Ranieri and Hardwick, maybe Canapino as well, will be moving up into the higher categories for next year. But looking for 2014, what a field we may possibly have if the likes of Sukas, Gea, maybe Menno Klont, Parker coming back, Henny Lee Bear, who's been looking ever increasingly better by the race. So much promise for next year, and I'm not sure what the calendar looks like. Yeah, I'm not sure whether we're going to be staying a lot of races. I don't know whether we're going to bring some in. We usually do have maybe a couple of races in and out between seasons, and as soon as we do get news of the calendar, I'm certain that GPVWC will be publishing it. But yeah, whatever the calendar is, I cannot wait for next year. And if I have the pleasure of commentating on it again, I will be more than happy to do so. But we've got about a minute and a half left of qualifying now. And as I thought, we don't actually have that many cars on track, nor are they doing much. Although, actually, that's very interesting from Mikel Tumala. I noticed he'd stopped on the start-finish straight as Ranieri went through, doing a practice start in qualifying. Now, I'm not sure whether that is necessarily good racing conduct. I mean, look at this. He's pulling over again on the second long straight in. To me, this is very smart, at least. As I say, I'm not sure whether it's actually good by the rulebook or good racing conduct. It's really smart. I'm thinking out of the box. If it's going to be a wet start, if it's completely dry during warm-up, you're not going to get another chance to do one of these wet starts. Mikel Tumala taking advantage of the conditions, making sure that he is fully prepared for what is seeming like a very likely scenario when we come to the race itself. Oh, Oscar Hardwick's left the room. I hope that's not permanent. I think I should just say 6 points. What that means in terms of position, if you're not familiar with GPVWC scoring, 10th is worth 6 points as qualifying now officially ends. The thing is, Hardwick needs 7 points. He can't just equal Ranieri's points total, because Ranieri has much more race wins than him. And what we've got to remember is that even if Oscar Hardwick, by a miracle, wins here today, he still will not have enough wins to overturn Ranieri's win total, which in the end would win him the title if they are on the same point. So Oscar Hardwick needs to finish a minimum of 9th here in this race today to even think about having a chance of beating Ranieri. Ranieri in that situation must either non-score or retire. So that's the basic scenario for you. We will update it as the race goes on, and we'll saying who is champion at the moment, so on, so on, so on. But looking from Ranieri's consistency, unless he is really marred down in the field, which at the moment doesn't look like it's the case, as he is second on the grid from Agustin Canapino, who takes second pole position of the year. It's not looking good for Hardwick. Let me put it this way. We would usually see him up in the top 5. Languishing down in P8 is the Englishman. So his chances of taking that coveted title already looking like it's slipping away. But after talking to him in the paddock earlier, it must be said, he doesn't feel like he would be massively upset if he didn't win today. And I think he's almost resigned himself to the fact that he won't win today. He said he's more than happy that CSG have won the constructors' title, the team's title. That's what he wanted to do. And the fact that he was this competitive in the Drivers' Championship is a bonus. If he wins it, he'll be ecstatic. If he doesn't win it, then he thinks that Giuseppe is a more than deserving winner. And he absolutely is. He made such an impact in those early races when he joined the Super Cup. And then he just went on a huge dominating streak. He was absolutely incredible. And although I usually wouldn't say don't watch these races, I must warn you, if you want to go back and look at all of the previous Super Cup races, which I believe, apart from Abu Dhabi, are all available on YouTube. We did have Abu Dhabi commentary recorded, but the issue is finding someone to video all the stuff. And, bit difficult, but we got most of the Super Cup races, and some of those were absolutely fantastic. Some of the best racing I've seen in sim racing for the year. Some of the races, though, my word, what was some of them? Germany wasn't particularly interesting, and I remember distinctly, actually, Canada, which was dominated by Oscar Hardwick for the majority of it. My word, that was it's weird. I struggled to find things to say with the co-commentator. No, I know I'm struggling now to find stuff to say when I'm on my own here. But with the co-commentator, much easier. Got things flowing. Yeah, not much to talk about. There wasn't even any battles down the bottom of the field, unfortunately. So, if you're not going to watch one, that's the one to go for. At the same time, I've had some fabulous. Japan 2 weeks ago. What a race that was! 4 people fighting for the lead. That was pretty much the same case in Abu Dhabi when we had a 3-race. It's a shame that we didn't record that, actually. That was one of the best races I've seen all season as well. Istanbul, that's another great race to watch. And actually, I think that was Ranieri's first win, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, see where the domination all started. But here we go. Just to quickly go down the top 10 for you from qualifying to recap. It's Canapino from Ranieri, Sukas with another great qualifying in P3, Florian Gehr P4 with Manu Klont. That's a very good qualifying from Klont, actually. Him and Multiforce have sort of been under the radar a bit for the last few races, so P5 there's very positive for the team. Tom Parker in 6th, continuing his good form, with Kenny Liebert in 7th, Oscar Hardwick 8th, Mikel Tumala putting Centurion in the top 10 once again for P9, and Oskari Kantonen P10. And James Johnson behind him is P11. That might not seem like such a good qualifying, but actually, considering Vodwell's recent form, that's actually a very good qualifying. That's near where they were at the start of the year. And I think that's more of a relief to them than anything, because Morten Vernus and Dan Russo really were struggling. It was only really Dawe Tapper who was flying the flag well for the team, unfortunately. Morten, I think, has been struck more by luck than anything else. Usually hit out. One that comes to mind was at the Italian race where he got hit by Wyatt Gooden when he was racing for Target, and he couldn't even make it to the starting grid. He got a puncture at a pit and all went downhill from there for the Dane. But nothing should be taken away from those two. They've done a fabulous job to put Vodbull where they are, which is strongly in the mid-table. Not going to be competing for the top 5 necessarily, but nice strong position ahead of Street Fighter as well, who were their main rivals throughout most of the year. So let's have a look at these warm-up conditions. And it started out dry, but it has just come to rain once again. So I think everyone is going to have a chance to have a wet practice start. As we said, we don't know what the race conditions are actually going to be like. If we're lucky, we might have a purely dry start. Or I should say for some of the drivers. I'm pretty sure for other drivers, they'll want a completely wet start to gain as many positions as possible. Because here's the thing. We've been saying definitely a wet race, definitely a wet race. Now, there's going to be some of those drivers still going for, well, you know, it might be worth going for a dry setup. Because, of course, the difference between the two is absolutely insane. That's why in the Formula Challenge yesterday, we saw the times so much closer than we usually do. We usually see Agdala running away with it, or Fidek running away with it. And we really didn't. The top 12, I think it was, were separated by 0.7 of a second, which is insane. We usually have the top maybe 8 to 10 in Formula Challenge, separated by 0.7, and it really goes back to almost 5 seconds off the pace when you get to car number 40 or so. But that was simply because some people wanted to take the chance to get a dry setup to go out there and get a fantastic lap in. Others were much more conservative, wanted to put more downforce for the wet weather. And it had varying degrees of success. It was very much intermittent weather in Formula Challenge yesterday, similar to how it is here today. And so it's going to be very interesting to see which of these drivers has that straight line speed. We'll definitely see it once we get to slipstreaming. Rainieri has usually been one to go for the more higher downforce. Hardwick has usually been one to go for the lower downforce. And considering he's further back in the field, that higher downforce should come into great effect for him. But he has to get past all those cars. And that is going to be the main challenge for him in the 47 laps that we have. Of course, we don't know about incidents in wet weather that could all kick off. What was it? The start, I think it was race 2. There were cars all over the place in Formula Challenge. So, never know. Believe me, starts in these cars are absolutely insane. If you don't have good throttle control, then you are going to spin up. And if we have a couple of them throughout the field, especially in the wet weather, could cause for a bit of start line carnage. But in that case, and this is something that me and Lewis have been constantly going on about, we had a period of Supercup where we had red flag after red flag after red flag, not had a red flag in the past 5 races or so. And just to say, we usually have a red flag when about 5 or more cars are out on the first lap. Hopefully we won't have that here. But we do kind of want a little bit of action off the start. If there's a couple of cars out, it'll be a shame. But we want something big to happen. This is the finale, of course. We want excitement. We want thrills. Who knows? Perhaps we could have a new winner here. It's possible. The most destructive race of the season, Monaco, saw a brand new win. It was raining in Monaco as well. We saw Pavel Loknovsky win there, of all the people, because Rainieri and Hardwick both crashed out in that race. So, I think the main point I want to get across here is don't just write off Hardwick. I know he's in 8th, but Interlagos, across whatever racing series you want to see, particularly in F1, you never know what can happen here. Just look at 2012 when Sebastian Vettel was spun around on the first lap. Who would have thought that he would have been able to get past, or past so many other cars, get back into the points, and still win the Drivers' Championship from the position he was in? Not a lot of people, and yet he still managed to do it. A lot of people say, I wonder if that can happen to Rainieri. Well, it's possible. And if he does spin on the first lap, and if he does find himself in last place, to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if he got back into the points. Remember, points go down to P15 here. So, and he's certainly a faster driver. I could probably say he'll start in or he'll finish in the top 10 if he was to spin around. But yeah, another variance we have to watch out for are the tyre strategies, which have been increasingly more important in the last few races. It takes longer to switch over to different compounds. We've got the red softer compound, the yellow harder compound. If it doesn't rain during the race, which, mind you, is very unlikely, or rain hard, I should say, if it goes to over intermediate conditions, then all drivers will have to use both compounds and tyres. However, once the blue wet tyre is used, which should come on at about 20% wetness, we believe. When that comes on, then that rule is thrown out the window. You can go on to options, primes, whatever. You can go option, wet, option. That'll be absolutely fine because the wet has been used. Throw strategies well out the window. I remember we don't have a safety car here either, so so much to go on, and unfortunately no Lewis to share it with as well. I guess actually in this last minute and a half I should probably say a huge thanks actually to the team who brought you Supercup. A big thanks to Nick Rowland, Tom Parker and Philip Cullen, all of which commentated on the series before and with me as well. I had Philip as my co-commentator for my first 2 rounds at Spain and Canada. Nick Rowland and Tom Parker, of course, commentated on the first race and a couple more races after that. I'd like to thank Lewis McGlade, who's been my regular co-commentator since we joined full-time in Istanbul. And I'd also like to thank Dave Carr-Smith, who has been a huge help in the box, whispering in our ears, saying when stuff was happening on track, doing the cameras. Without him, this show wouldn't be live-streamed. And in the end, pictures are worth 1,000 words. You can have me babbling on as much as you like. In the end, it's the action on your screens which you want to see. And without him, it wouldn't happen. So, massive thanks to all the team. And hopefully, we'll be able to give you a brilliant finale to what has been a hugely exciting 2013 season. So all the drivers just wishing each other good luck. By the way, Ranieri topped the free practice session. By the way, Tom Parker second and Cantonen third. So that should give you a little idea on possibly race run pace.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
The R-Factor man utters those famous words for the final time here in Supercup. Perhaps, Dave, if I could get you to do a quick run through the... we'll run through the field now, and perhaps we can see who's on the softer tyres. Or not on the softer tyres, or on the harder tyres, because we usually have a couple of people with alternative strategies. Usually we saw Mike Bell with the major alternative strategies, but he's not here today. Dave just let me know that he will let me know if there's anybody on the prime. So, Augustin Canapino leads us off then for Target Racing. Second consecutive pole on the year for the Argentine with Giuseppe Ranieri, championship leader. Can he win it here today from P2 on the grid? Mikko Sukas to finish for Innovision. Another impressive qualifying for P3, and PB Racing's highest qualifying of the year has been achieved with the German Florian Gehr on debut here. Menno Klont, best multi-force qualifying in a while. The Dutchman has placed his car in P5 with Tom Parker for Innovision in P6. So Innovision looking very good there actually. They saw some good points. Henny Libert for FA Racing starts P7 with Oscar Hardwick mired back in P8. Can he do something, anything from that position to try and win the driver's title? Mikel Tumala starts 9th for Centurion with Ascari Canton rounding out the top 10. James Johnson makes his return for Vodbull Racing in P11 with Roy Schroeten for CSG behind him in P12. Mikko Jakinen ever improving for Street Fighter, starts P13 with Tommy Koivunen behind him in P14. Nico Draconic starts P15 for FA with Mark Wicks, P16 for Street Fighter. Patrick Gatewood starts P17 for Multiforce with Calvin Hermser, P18 for PBD. Martin Bolgin starts P19 for Scuderia Basilia. And Christoph Lichtenstein rounds out the top 20 for PB. And our final three cars of the grid start with Andreas Waters, P21 for Fox, Brandon Warren, P22 for Satellite, and John McLean, who did not qualify, starting P23 for Fox. And just got news through that everyone is starting on the option tyre, which is rather interesting. It seems to me that everyone's counting on early rainfall as opposed to rainfall later in the race. Otherwise, we would have seen maybe a couple trying to chance it. But we got a dry start here. That's the main thing. And the question is, can Ranieri win it? Can Hardwick win it? Possibly, can we have a new winner here in Supercup here today? They're lining up on the grid, and look at Ranieri and Tumar, I believe, is back there, sort of pointing out to the side, perhaps trying to get an alternative vantage point. The lights come on here now. We've got 3, 4, and 5 lights here for the final time in Supercup. We are away! And it's a decent start for everyone. Look, everyone just crashing out in the field there. We've got one of the Centurions off already. But Ranieri, good start from him, straight through on the lead. And oh, we've got contact! Contact between Oscar Hardwick. He's gone already. And oh, he back-ended Tom Parker and Hardwick. His day goes from bad to worse. Ranieri, though, leads through turn 2 from a Canapino. Clons up into P3. Liebherr, great start to 4th. Gea down to 5th. Roy Schroeter has got up 6 places. Into 6th place there. Tom Parker recovering. P7, James Johnson, P8, Oskari Hansen, P9, and Mikko Jakinen. Good start from him as well. Up into the top 10, but calamity for Oscar Hardwick, who is now down in P19. Oh, and he's got a puncture as well. Well, I think that's championship decided there and then. Unless we have Ranieri crash out, I think that is Hardwick's day done. He might go round still. But what a shame there for the Englishman. Just flying it to the back of Parker, almost. It didn't seem like Oscar Hardwick. It didn't seem posed at all, but he did tell me he was going to go flat out or crash out, and it seems like he's crashed out rather early here. But at the end of lap 1 here, it is the Italian Giuseppe Ranieri, current championship leader and current title leader, going into turn 1, half a tenth ahead of Canapino. Clont, good start up into P3. Kane Liebherr 4th. Tom Parker, wow, good move from him outside. Round the outside of Roy Schroeter there. And look, you got the 2 bobbles back there as well, fighting for position. Cantonen's had a storming first lap there, and here he goes down the back straight. He's going to try and take advantage of Roy Schroeter here. He's always going to go 3 wide into turn 4, but nothing to do for Cantonen. Look at James Johnson trying to go around the outside there. Really good battling between the Vodball guys. And look at Mikko Jakinen as well. What a start the other Finn has had in the Street Fighter car, and the Vodball cars are still fighting. Mikko. Oh dear. Oh gosh, yeah. Sorry, I completely missed that. Mikko Sukas is out of the race already. I did not notice that at all. So Mikko Sukas is out, John McLean's out, and Brandon Warren is out as well. That's a real shame for those lot. I completely missed that in the opening lap for Raw, but yeah, that's a shame for Mikko Sukas, who qualified really well, and perhaps explaining why Mikko Konik is... Oh, dearie me, I've getting all my words mixed up. I see Mikko Jakinen's had an off, unfortunately, and his great start comes to an end. He's now down into P15 behind Andreas Waters. The gap at the front has now increased to 1.1 seconds, and oh, poor Oscar Hardwick, you can see him just coming out the pit. He's been lapped already by the race leader, and indeed Agustin Canapino. Menoclon there 3rd, Kane Liebherr 4th, Parker 5th. Cantonen has seemed to have fully passed James Johnson. He's going to make a move on Roy Schroeter. The Dutchman doesn't have much of an answer there, or can he? Can he hold it around the outside? Look at this driving from Roy Schroeter. Really, really good defensive stuff from the Dutchman, and Cantonen is still... What great battling this midfield is giving us. Roy Schroeter still on the inside. They're still side by side. This is unbelievable. It seems like Roy Schroeter has a higher wing setting, but Cantonen just has the speed around all these corners. to keep in the position. Oh, contact between them. And look at James Johnson. What an opportunistic move that was. Straight through there. And look at Oscar Hardwick there. He's trying to unlap himself, but he can't. Oh, where'd Roy Schroten go? Oh my word. Oscar Hardwick almost crashing into Canton there. My words. But where has Roy Schroten gone? That's a disconnection. And oh, dearie me. Second disconnection in the same amount of races for Roy Schroten, and that's a real shame for him. Looking really good there in the top 10. What that means is that Tommy Koivunen, from a starting position of P14, is now into P8 with Mark Wicks P9 and Christoph Lichtenstein, 2010 champion, in a bit off the pace in the latter half of this season, after rejoining, of course, from Super League. Though he's there in the top 10, and if he's able to keep it in this position, would mark his highest finish to date since his return. It would be lovely. I'd love to see Lichtenstein finish in the top 10 just to get a little bit of confidence back. Behind him, though, he has got company in the form of the American Patrick Gatewood and Nico de Koninck. So he's got to keep his eyes and ears about him, otherwise he is going to lose position to two very good drivers. And Patrick Gatewood, a real fall from grace, unfortunately. Gatewood qualifies in some races absolutely wonderfully, and it's just consistency in races which he lacks, and hopefully Multiforce will be able to keep him on for next year along with Klon. So I think those two are definitely one of the best pairings on the grid. Is Tom Parker out? Oh no, what happened to Tom Parker? Let's have a little look. Oh, what did happen to Tom Parker? Was that a disconnection? Oh, it's a disconnection. Oh my word, and so we've got technical difficulties all throughout the field, and Tom Parker was suffering with lag earlier in qualifying and out of this race. So that means that Christoph Lichtenstein now into P9, amazingly. Though, as I say, got to watch out for Patrick Gatewood there, now into the top 10. And he's going to try around the outside of the Senna S. Can he make it stick? Oh, it's very good. Oh, contact between him and Nico de Koninck. And Mikko Jakinen gets collected there as well. Jakinen missing a front wing. Where's de Koninck? I think he's got a puncture. Oh, Gatewood. Oh, dearie me. What did I say about the inconsistency? What did I say about the inconsistency? He just launched himself over the curb, and with three cars there, that was never going to go well. Mikko Jakinen, after such a good start out of this race, real shame for the Finn there, looking like he was on for his best results of the season, and that means that Christoph Lichtenstein is now nice and free into P9. Andreas Waters into the top 10. His highest finish is P11. It was achieved at his home race in Belgium. If he can get a P10 here, that would be absolutely sensational. And so we're only on lap 6 of 46, and we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 retirements already. That is absolutely insane. We are now down to 15 runners of Riders. I know we're getting news here that Oscar Hardwick apparently is going to, and oh, well, that's a real shame. Oscar Hardwick officially retires from this race. The damage to his car could not be repaired. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, that at this very early stage of the race, we can definitely say for certain that Giuseppe Ranieri is the 2013 Super Cup Drivers' Champion. And, well, that's a real shame for Hardwick. This is CSG's first double retirement since Monaco, unbelievably, and I'm sure that Renier. Apparently we are actually going to have a little interview with Oscar Hardwick. Oscar, what a shame. You told me earlier you were going to go, flat out or crash out, and unfortunately it seemed to go more way of crash out. Really sorry for you. Can you just explain what happened at the start? We saw you had a bit of contact with Park. Was that a brake lock-up or lapse of concentration? Just talk us through it.
I made one of my usual, fairly good starts, made up 4 or 5 positions, and going into turn 1, I wasn't used to being up to the far left of the track, misread where I was slowing down, and straight into the back of Mikko. Punctured my car right off here. So sorry to Mikko. I mean, I know Innovision are fighting for a championship position as well. I've completely screwed over their day, so not how anyone wanted it to end. I wasn't expecting to beat Giuseppe today because of the form that he's been on, but it would have been nice to at least try, and completely on me. Driving error going into turn 1, and I've not just screwed up my race, I've screwed up someone else's.
Well, I think, to be fair, Oscar, this happens to so many drivers, and to be fair, your attempt to fight off Ranieri throughout this season, it's been absolutely incredible to see, and it's such a shame to see your season end in this manner. But I think, can you at least be happy in the knowledge that next year you've got a secured, nailed down Super League drive with Woods? There were so many points this season where you just sounded, so downbeat, much more downbeat than you are now. Thinking of quitting and all that. This season's over now. Do you think you can at least sort of take the pressure of Supercup off your shoulders and look forward to Super League next season at least?
I'll definitely look forward to Super League next season. That's going to be an interesting venture for everyone, with probably the highest strength of drivers that GPVWC's ever had at its top level in next year's field, and that's going to be fantastic to watch. And you've still got the Super League finale tomorrow that should be pretty good to watch as well. Just, it's been a good season. I can't detract from the fact that we've got a teams championship. That's fantastic. We dominated the teams championship. And, that's partly down to me. Roy's done a great job. We've had Pedro come in and help, and despite our differences, James put points in the pot as well. It's been a concerted effort from a number of drivers for CSG, and it's lovely to come home second in the drivers' championship. I mean, I've competed in 3 championships now in a relatively full-time role, and I've finished first, second, and third in the drivers' standings in those. So it's disappointing to end this series like this, but you can't detract from just how strong a year that I've had, and that's fantastic. But no one wanted to see it end that way, and I guess big congratulations to Giuseppe and Scuderia Basilia, David Yunt, who's their team manager, for actually getting the Drivers' Championship in Supercup, because it's been a hard-fought one, and Giuseppe really stepped up to the plate.
Absolutely, so many positives to take out, and the one image coming into my mind here is Hamilton crashing out of Brazil in 2012. I kind of get that same feeling from you. It just feels like such a weird way to end the season, but plenty of positives, and honestly, congratulations on getting second, Oscar. Really, really well deserved, and I wish you the best of luck in the future in Super League, and indeed in the other many series I hope to see you take part in next season.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Oscar there sounding very downbeat. I think apologies to the viewers. It was Miko Sukasori who was hit by Oscar, but not the way he wanted his championship to end, and understandably downbeat, but plenty to look forward to from him next year. Certainly cannot wait to see what he can do next year. A bit of an update for you. We have had 2 more retirements since we had started that interview. Patrick Gatewood fully retired, and Kenny Lee Bear as well fully retired. So that means that we only have 13 runners and riders left now. It's astonishing. So there will be only 13 point scorers if everyone gets to the finish. The gap between Ranieri and Canapino is 2 seconds now. So Canapino definitely keeping the Argentine in sight. Menno Clont doing a stand-up job for the Multiforce team here. Certainly looking to get a good load of points here in his final race of the season. He's 5 seconds back from Canapino. And then what about the Vodwell duo? James Johnson leading Ascari Cantonen. These two were drafted in. I don't think they were expecting to be 4th and 5th, but putting in an absolutely stand-up effort for the team here at the final race. Tommy Koivunen, P6. He's having a lovely battle with Mark Wicks at the moment. If Koivunen was to finish in 6th, this would be Centurion's new best finish of the year. If Mark Wicks was to finish 6th, this would equal his best result of the year, his first since Australia, can you believe it, when he finished P6. We've got Christoph Lichtenstein there in P8 with Martin Bolgin. This will be his first top 10 finish of the year, along with Andreas Waters. But we've got to watch out for Florian Geyer. The German had a terrible, terrible start, fell down the field, unfortunately. But he's there in P11 and certainly a force to watch out for. I'm sure he'll be into the top 10 sooner or later. Mikhail Tumala, he's in P12, and Nico DeConnick currently a lap back, but still running in P13. And at the end of the day, he's the lone FA racing car as well. So the team's only chance for points, unfortunately. I think I heard someone coming in. Yes, we've got Tom Parker here. Hello, Tom. I didn't actually... Was it a disconnection that saw you out of the race, unfortunately? Because we were looking at you going so well, and then you just seemed to disappear, because we saw you had lag problems in qualifying. Was it just the same as that, but here in the race?
The words thanks, RFE, have never meant so much to me. Yeah, just ran disconnect on the back straight, just out of nowhere. I mean, qualifying, I always had lag, but that wasn't anything too bad. I mean, didn't take anyone out, so that's all good. But yeah, I disconnected in practice as well, and that's the first ever time it's happened to me, like ever. So I didn't happen in the race when I was fifth, and I was like, oh, brilliant. So even with a damaged car, I was catching Menno and Kenny. So that's not good, because now Scuderia Brasilia are on for second in constructors. So that's a bit depressing.
Well, you win some, you lose some. I think a lot of drivers know more than Oscar Hardwick know that now. But surely there's lots of positives to take out. Let's face it, you were running in fifth. You were catching up to third and fourth. And I'm not sure whether you're allowed to divulge what your plans are for next year, but I think you'd certainly be a great fit for the Supercup next year if you were to return.
Well, I've entered my team next year again, PB. We need a bloody good year, for Christ's sake. And I don't know what I'm doing yet. It depends on work. I mean, well, if I wasn't working, I probably would have returned to Super League because I've got work on Thursday evenings. I'll probably be Super Cup again with PB for the first time ever. You never have fought it 4 years running and never actually raced for them. So yeah, I'm not sure yet, but hopefully I'll definitely be in Super Cup next year if I can be bothered.
Well, I certainly hope you are bothered, Tom, because you are a very, very good driver, and certainly miss you here if you were to leave. But condolences for today, and you never know. There's still 2/3 of this race still to run. You could be lucky and see a Scuderia Brasilia retirement in the near future. You've got to keep your hopes up.
Pepe crash, please, please help me.
Well, I hope he heard you anyway. Thanks for joining us, Tom, and once again, condolences for the crash. Or sorry, the disconnection even.
No problem. Bash!
Tom Parker, loads of fun. You can never keep him down, and a real shame to see him out of this Super Cup race as well, but at the end of the day, what can you do? A disconnection is a technical fault, just like you see technical faults in real-life racing. But let's have a look now. Oh my word, the gap between the leaders has really come down in the last couple of laps, actually. Ranieri allies Canapino by 1.3 seconds as opposed to 2 seconds. And we've got a lovely battle here, Going back to Koivunen and Wixie. I was talking about this one before we had Tom Parker interviewing. Here goes Wixie down the inside. Koivunen just about to hold on. These two have been at each other's throat for pretty much since the off, I'd say. And where's Ranieri? Oh, Ranieri pits. Quickly dive away from that battle. But yeah, Ranieri pits from the lead. And is he out onto hard tyre, I presume? I can't see myself. I don't have Windows 8. But anyway, regardless... Oh. You're not... Okay. Thank you, Dave. He's on the harder tyre. There we go. Confirmation. Out into P3 and behind the Vodball duo as well. So a pretty stand-up job from the Brasilia guys to get their man out ahead of the Vodball duo. And what that means is Canapino now leads this race with Mano Clont into second. But I'd imagine we'd start seeing pit stops from most runners about now. Let's see what Canapino does do. Ooh. Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on that, Val. Canapino stays out, interestingly. Let's have a little look at what Menno Clont does. He's got the... Oh, is he on the pit line? No, Clont stays out again as well. And so Ranieri seems to be fending off the Vodball duo quite nicely. Although I think James Johnson is possibly closing in on the Italian. Not too sure at the moment, but those two go around again as well. But back to the battle now for P6 and P7, the closest one on track. Which has now not become a battle because Tommy Koivunen pits from P6, and that means that Mark Wicks inherits that position. Let's see Koivunen's pit stop. Quite crucial is here down the back straight now comes Christoph Lichtenstein. P8. What a lovely job for him. But Nico de Koning has just unlapped himself from Liechtenstein, unfortunately. Up. Koivunen is out on the option tyres once again. And he's going to be battling with Martin Bulgin now, or is he? I think this is going to be a battle down the back straight based on pure speed. There we go. Koivunen comes out of the pits. Bulgin is just behind him. But I think Koivunen actually has that quite nice as well. And on the option, brand new fresh set of options for Koivunen. So he'll definitely have the speed advantage over the English veteran as well. So Koivunen out into P8. Canapino pits from the lead now. And I imagine, no, Menno Klont does not follow suit. And so, I think it's for the first time this year, actually, Menno Klont now leads this race. And we'll see what the gap is between Canapino and Ranieri. Canapino is out onto the option tyres. This is going to be interesting. Ranieri's on the harder tyres, if I can remember correctly. And is that rain? Oh, we have rain. Excellent. Oh, Canapino. Oh, Canapino. Oh, Canapino. He's out into the lead. And by a good couple of seconds as well. What a good stop from the target, boys. And he has the better tyres. Oh, what a good stop from the Argentine. Takes the lead of this race. And in these intermediate conditions, Ranieri is going to be really struggling. And perhaps this is what the Vodbull guys were waiting for. Perhaps this is... Oh, this is going to be an interesting conundrum for them, actually, because they're on the option tyres. They're kind of lasting. But I wonder how long they can last for. I think the same problem can apply to Menno Klont here, actually. Because Menno's been out on the option tyres for the same amount of time. And I imagine it's not wet enough for wet tyres, though. It's intermediate conditions. Menno Klont stays out again. This is very interesting. Oh, strategies. I love this. I really do love this. So Menno Klont then is going around again. His lead over Augustin... Oh, Cantonen pits. Okay. So we imagine the Vodbull are going to pit their drivers one after the other. So Cantonen in first. And I imagine he'll be out into the options, presumably. Yeah, option tyres for Cantonen then. So I imagine... Sorry. Getting news through and it's getting wetter though. Cantonen's moves are either going to be absolutely inspired or a bit early. And I just have the sneaking suspicion that it's a bit early. Don't like the looks of this, to be honest. Such difficult conditions, and this is what we love about Interlagos. It's sort of on, off. And there are going to be some people who are going to take the risk onto the wet tyre, some people are going to take the risk onto the soft tyre. We genuinely don't know what, could be the correct tyre at this stage. We don't know whether it's going to stay intermediate. Menno Klont, though, regardless, stays out. He is determined to make these tyres last, but Agustin Canapino is whittling down that gap, and he's whittled it down to 1.3 seconds over the course of the last lap. Johnson stays out, so he's learning from the mistakes of his teammate there, who still occupies P5, mind you. But he's going to try and let it last a bit longer on the same page as Menno Klont. Tommy Koivunen and Mark Wicks still side by side after the pit stop, still very, very close. Florian Gehr, though, he's up in the P8. He's taken over Christoph Liechtenstein, actually, he's in P9. Martin Bulgin P10, Mikhail Tumal in P12, and Nico de Koning is still our last runner there in P13. But what we have here is we might not have that many battles throughout the field, necessarily. But what we do have is potentially a very interesting strategy race, and one which might see a new winner. I doubt it will, because Menno Klont is really losing time hand over fist here to Canapino. He's lost another... Oh my word, he's lost a full second in that second sector. And surely he has to pit now. Those tyres, yeah, he's got a very tight line there, and in comes race leader Dutchman Menno Klont for his first stop of the day. Agustin Canapino moves through to retake the lead of the race, and Ranieri moves through to retake P2. Let's see what Klont goes out onto. It's onto the option tyres for Menno Clont. Really the best option. I would say James Johnson is in as well. And I presume he's onto the options as well. Indeed he is. So, it's one of those... It seems like the rain is letting up a bit. But either way, I think that the tyre life was such that Clont and Johnson just could not hang on anymore. And you can see that the disadvantage that Johnson has now. Cantonen, in the end, did choose the right option in pitting earlier, and he's now miles ahead of his English teammate. So good stop for Cantonen. Not really an inspired call. It's more about luck, really, at this stage. You never really know whether the rain's going to go up or down in intensity, and as I say, it's just gone up a little bit again in Sector 2. But what this means for our overall race order is that Canapino leads this race. He's now into lap 20 of 46 here. We're not even halfway through. And he leads by 4.7 seconds. His lead is increasing. That's because Rainieri's on the harder of the two compound tyres. And although he might be able to go for longer, he might struggle. And we've got another retirement in the form of Andreas Waters. The Belgian will not be able to record his highest finish in Supercup, as he is out of this race, and that means that we only have 12 runners and riders left. I wonder if we can get to Monaco standards, where only 9 people finish. Oh, how bizarre. That's crazy. He lost it at the top of the hill. Bizarre. One of those strange things, isn't it? You never know when a car is going to bite back at you. And for Waters, it bit back in the most bizarre of places. But regardless, the Belgian is out, unfortunately. And that leaves us with... Not 12, sorry. Got Yep. Oh, hello, Cantonen. Yeah, Cantonen went off at turn 1, I'm hearing. Lost 3 seconds to his teammate, but is still ahead of Johnson. That's a crucial thing. To be fair, I don't think that Mike Pittman, team principal, will care much about which order the two of them finish in. All he cares about is that they're finishing P4 and P5 currently. And Johnson's off. Johnson lost it in the middle section there, and he's out onto the grass. And is he going to get mugged? He's going to get mugged by Koivunen and Wixie. Oh no! And so he falls down 2 positions to P7, and what a battle this is now. We've got 3-way for P6. Sorry, I like P5. Tommy Koivunen's into the top 5. New heights. I say new heights for Tommy Koivunen. He's actually won a Super Cup race in the past. I didn't realise this, but look at James Johnson flying past Mark Wicks. His gearing and downforce is clearly much lower than his fellow Englishman. And into turn 1, it's very clear that Johnson is the faster driver of these 3. And look, he's onto the back of Koivunen already, almost pushing him round turn 3. And I imagine that James Johnson's going to get his P5 back very quickly, or is he? Tommy Koivunen actually holding on to that position very nicely as the Finn. But almost contact there. Such tricky conditions. But yeah, there we go. James Johnson is through. But Tommy Koivunen, he won't have the inside. Look at James Johnson. His gearing is supreme for this track. Just flies past the two of them in the 3rd to 5th gears. And so clearly that bobble setup, whatever he's done to it, is doing a good job. And so battle resumes between Koivunen and Wicks. And I don't see this one ending for a very, very long time. Because they have been at each other's throats since the beginning of it. I'm just going to do a quick calculation to see what lap we need to get to. Remember, 75% of the laps need to be completed in order for a driver to score points. And on this occasion, drivers will have to get to lap 35 in order to score points. And the leader's on lap 22 of 46. So there's still 14 more laps to go before they'll be able to consider themselves safe and can bin it if they so do wish. Currently it's only the top 10 that have been unlapped, but that's going to be the top 9 very shortly, because Canapino is raging onto the back of Martin Bulgin. at a real rate of knots and a sane knots. The cars might as well be boats in this weather. They're just gliding through. To be fair, I'd say the closest battle on track is going to be... oh, what's happening there? Oh, I see. Liechtenstein's let his teammate Florian Geyer through. So the two BB cars doing actually a good job, actually. P8 and P9. They are going to... Well, they're going lines. I think Liechtenstein knows that the German... Or his fellow German, I should say. Him, and so he's going to try and let him attempt to catch up to Mark Wicks and Tommy Koivunen, who are 13 seconds up the road. A tall order, even for Florian, I would say. The gap at the front is 5.1 seconds, and Menoclont is falling further and further behind, now 21.8 seconds off the lead. Here goes Mark Wicks, though, on the back of Tommy Koivunen. The Englishman pulls out to the right-hand side once again. James Johnson goes into turn 1, just ahead of them. But Koivunen seems to have either a much shorter 6th gear, because he seems to reach that top speed and maintain that top speed a lot more efficiently, I should say. Pardon me. And then Mark Wicks. And yeah, it just seems that Wicks, I reckon he's just got higher downforce from the looks of it. He's right on the back of Koivunen through this middle sector, and you'll really see him close up onto the back. And I see another retirement. Nico DeConnick is out now, so we're down to 11 runners and riders, half the field out, half the way through this race. But yeah, look at Mark Wicks. He was quite a way behind Koivunen. To be fair, Koivunen's doing very well in the second sector over the course of this lap. But Wicks is able to hold on to the back of him, and I reckon that is through higher downforce, although... Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just completely wrong, because Koivunen seems to have done a stand-up job in that sector and has maintained the gap at about the same point as it was in Sector 1. And Mark Wicks, yeah, you can see he's just falling out of the slipstream. There's really not much he can do down this back straight as we head into turn 1 once again. Yeah. I think that is game, set and match. Either Wixie's tyres have just gone completely off, or Koivunen's just found an extra gear to shift up into and is able to fly away now. So, looking good for Koivunen and Wicks either way. Good points scores for both their teams, given that they finish 35 laps of this race. If you finish 35 laps of this race, you are guaranteed, can you believe it, 5 points for your team, because you've only got 11 bases to fill currently, the last of which is Mikel Tumala. And a real shame for Tumala as well. He's usually been the champion of Centuria, not today, being bogged down a bit unfortunately. And the Finn finds himself in 11th, a lap down. The gap look at this gap, it keeps on going up and up and up. Canapino now 5.9 seconds ahead of Ranieri. Menoclont 22.5 behind Canapino. Cantonen a further 5 seconds back. James Johnson is, let me do my maths here, 16 seconds back. And then we got to go another 5 seconds back before we get to Koivunen and Wicks. And then we got Geyer, Liechtenstein, Bulgin. All pretty much line astern. And unfortunately, I can't find many other battles to view, ladies and gentlemen. Koivunen and Wicks was the closest one on track. And it's separating out. Perhaps we could just keep an eye on that. Because it's not exactly like Wixie is moving out of the way or falling behind hand over fist necessarily, but he's not making a huge impact to make me think, oh, he's going to overtake Tommy at any point soon. Still raining here at Interlagos. It must be said, very much intermediate conditions, but the rain hasn't come down hard enough to warrant the use of wet tyres yet. And I have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to stay that way. And so what that means is that near the end of this race, I think the battle for the lead is going to become quite interesting, because we're going to have Ranieri on those option tyres. He's going to have to use them. Canapino, on the flip side, is going to have to use the harder tyres along with everyone else. And, well, you see the advantage that Canapino has now. I reckon that the tables are very much going to be turned against him once Ranieri is onto the option tyres, and I do believe that possibly final 10 laps or so, we might have a battle for the lead. Hopefully it'll be good. Hopefully it won't be a pushover for either of them. But hopefully we'll have something. Oh, we do have a battle! We have a battle! The last two runners on this grid, Martin Mulgin and Mikel Tumala, have found each other. The battle for the top 10. This will be Martin Mulgin's highest finish of the year. Mikel Tumala is saying, no thank you, that's my P10 Martin. And already he is through on the Englishman as we head into turn 1. And oh, Martin! He's done an Alonso. He just put one wheel on the grass, and in this wet conditions, that is just going to destroy any chance you have of making the corner. So, P10 goes to Tumala, and currently Centurion, they've been rising through the ranks, race upon race upon race. And with Tommy Coyne in 6th, they are looking at their best point score of the year, and I believe this might very well take them above Fox Racing. Fox Racing don't have any drivers in this race anymore, neither do PPD. And so Centurion might actually have a shout of finishing in the top 10. I don't think they'll be able to overhaul PB, because they're having a good race themselves. The bottom of the table is looking like it might have a bit of shifting after the points have been sorted out after race, of course. I'm just thinking if that gap is going up between... Oh, yep, it's still going up. But not by as much. Ranieri only lost a 10th on that lap. So I think the advantage is coming back to the Italian on his harder tyres. And I'm not sure whether this is what Canapino wanted. I think Canapino might have wanted the rain to be a bit heavier by this stage. So his course of action was clear. You know, he'd be able to go onto the wet tyres, or on the opposite side, he wanted it to get drier, so at least he'd be able to go onto the harder tyres in full knowledge that they wouldn't be wasted. You know, he'd be able to use them until the end as proper dry tyres. But we're still very much in this mishmash conditions, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be running through the Argentine's mind that he's going to be essentially transferring into the unknown here. Whatever tyre he chooses, and we presume it will be the harder tyre because it's not wet enough yet for those wet tyres. But the pit stop should be soon. He pitted on lap 13, if I remember correctly. And it's lap 28 now. He goes round again. I think he's going to try and use the same strategy as Clonton Johnson in the first stage of this race. Try and hold out, and looking at that gap between... Oh, look at that. It's come down now to 6.6. So the gap between Ranieri and Canapino is now decreasing as opposed to increasing. The advantage definitely with Italian right now. Let's have a look. I think Clonton and Cantonen are closing together as well. Cantonen is now only 1.4 seconds off Menno Clont, who seems to be really struggling on these option tyres now. Yeah, look at him. He's visibly slower than the Finn. And I remember, that's where Cantonen was second, I think, in Indianapolis. He really set himself up for a good finish, and he overtook Hardwick and De Vries, I think, in the later stages of that race because it got wet. He made a really... Myself and Lewis thought it was a weird decision to go onto the wet tyres at that stage, but it proved absolutely right. And look at this now, Cantonen right on the back of Menno Clont for the podium position. I don't think Menno Clont's had a podium this year, actually. Bless him, and he'll be fighting to try and keep on to this position as long as he can. But Cantonen's tyre wear just looks so much better. Either that or his car looks... Oh, look, it's planted. Absolutely planted as we head into effectively the last proper corner of this Interlagos circuit. Oh, look at the drive Cantonen has off that corner up the hill. Cantonen is through on Menno Clont already, and is Clont going to pit? He's taking the inside line. Oh, Clont, no, he was. I thought he was going to pit then, but no, Clont has come back in for the slipstream. Nothing doing, though. Cantonen, therefore, takes me through. Oh, he's going a bit wide into the centre S. He's going to, just about hold on. And that, I would say, is position to Kantonen. Signed, sealed, and delivered. The postman can go home now. The Finn takes P3, and Menno Klont is left wondering what he can do from this position. Is it perhaps time to pit? One would think so. What has he got to lose, I would say? Looking back up at Canapino now, we're on lap 30 of 46 here, only 16 more laps to run. And is Canapino going to pit? Canapino pits! Our race leader pits then. On lap 30 of 46, he will have to use the hard compound tyres. Giuseppe Ranieri retakes the lead of this race, therefore. On his harder compound tyres, he'll be able to go around. And just confirmation, Canapino, he does go onto the harder tyres. And I think he will safely come out into P2 as well. Yes, indeed he will. We look back now to Kantonen and Menno Klont. Kantonen's been able to pull out quite a nice little gap. Kantonen does not pit. Neither does Menno Klont, interestingly. So the two of them will go round again. We look now to James Johnson, who is in P5. And, oh, hello, we've got, let's... I was going to look at James Johnson. Is he going to pit? Johnson does not pit. Look back at the battle for P6, 7, and now P8. I said Florian Geyer was a fast driver and fast, and he seems he's going around the outside of Mark Wicks. Tommy Koivunen and Mark Wicks both pit at the same time. Florian Geyer for PV Racing heads up into P6. He was looking like he was going to overtake the two anyway. But this is going to be an interesting battle. It's going to be a pit battle between the Centurion and the Street Fighter boys. Mark Wicks pits first, onto the harder tyres it goes. What options for Mark Wicks? Was he... So has he gone option? Right, Mark Wicks is onto the option tyres again. Interestingly, I don't know why. Tommy Koivunen? Tommy Koivunen's onto the primes, right. So Mark Wicks obviously sees some advantage into going onto the option tyres now. Presumably to make a very, very late last pit stop. Whether this will work for Wixie, I have no idea. But it has meant that he's been able to get out of Tommy Koivunen, ahead of Koivunen, at least. That's an interesting one. I'm interested to see how that will work out for Wix. But to be fair, actually, this might actually be a sensible move for Wix. Why not? Because Christoph Lichtenstein is definitely falling behind. We'll see how that one works out for Wixie. Definitely an alternative strategy if I've ever seen one. James Johnson goes round again. Menno Klont's gone round again. And Kantonen has gone round again. And so has Geyer. So the top 6, barring Canapino, all have to pit once again to go onto the alternative tyre, which they have not yet... Oh, sorry. They can go on to whatever... Sorry, Ranieri can go on to whatever tyre he wants. He's used the harder tyre here. And oh, here we go. Ranieri is into the pits then for Scuderia Basilia. And here comes Canapino. Down the back straight he comes to retake the lead of this race. Ranieri predictably goes onto the option tyre. Canapino heads into turn 1. And Ranieri leaves the pits now. We'll have to wait for the Sector 1 split to see how far apart the two of them are. But there we can see Canapino coming out onto the back straight. And there is Ranieri. So we've got the entire second straight between Ranieri and Canapino at this point. 5.8 seconds was the gap, is it? Oh, and Ranieri's gone off. Ranieri went off there. That was a little bit of an excursion. But 5.8 seconds is the gap between the two of them. Let's see, Menno Klont. Has he been into... No, Menno Klont's gone round again. As has Kantonen. As has Johnson. As has Geyer. So the next ones we've got to watch out for here is Kantonen, Klont, Johnson and Geyer. Well, has Klont pitted? No, he hasn't, because Kantonen overtook him, didn't he? Those are the next 4 pit, we would say. Mark Wicks there in 7th on his option strategy, and visibly driving away from Tommy Koivunen. The gap between the two of them is now 4.3 seconds, can you believe it? and they were 1 second apart, and Tommy Koivunen seems to be visibly struggling on those prime tyres as well. But the main point is he doesn't have to pit again, and as long as Mark Wicks stays within 20 seconds, he won't have to worry too much about the Englishman at this stage. Christoph Lichtenstein, P9, Mikael Tumala, P10, Martin Bulgin, our last runner, in P11. And what was that? I saw a bit of a change. Right, Canapino pulling out a bit of a gap on Ranieri here. The gap now 6.1 seconds, and oh, that's why there was change. Kantonen has pitted from P3. Menno Klont goes round again, and Kantonen is onto the primes, which would make sense because he went option prime. So yeah, Kantonen is onto his prime tyres. James Johnson going round again, as is Florian Gehr. So Kantonen is the first of these 4 to make his stop onto the prime tyres. I would imagine Klont would want to cut him off in that respect, try and get his pit stop over and done with. I presume he was waiting for Kantonen to make the stop so that he would have the fresher tyres. But he's been losing time for a good number of laps here. On lap 34 or 46, there's 12 laps. Oh, what Canapino? What on earth happened to him? Let's me have a look. I'm just having a look at him. Oh my words! That was a wiggly bit. That was a very wiggly bit from Canapino, and he was very lucky to save that. He's lost 2 seconds there to Ranieri, and he'll have to get a wiggle on, to be honest now, because he can't be making mistakes like that. He's got a real chance to win his 3rd race of the season here at Interlagos, 3 in a row, the hat-trick. But Ranieri's probably just driving around at this stage. He knows he's won the Drivers' Championship. There's no need to bin it. You might as well finish strong. Menno Klont going round again. Absolutely bizarre. James Johnson's into the pits, as is Florian Gehr. So Klont will be the last of the front runners to make their pits. Okay, Johnson strangely is onto the... Right, Johnson's come out onto the wets. And we can't, between myself and Dave, we can't quite comprehend why. It's been intermediate weather throughout this entire Supercup race. There's been no signs of it getting wetter. Yeah. Gehr is on prime tyres. We were expecting that. But yeah, we'll see what Johnson can do. Yeah, Dave's putting his money on it, expecting him to be in the next 3 laps to change onto the option tyre, presumably. But I reckon he's going to lose position to Gehr here. I really do, because Gehr's on the far superior tyre for these conditions. Gap at the front is coming down. Look at this. 3.4 seconds now. Ranieri really putting his foot down to the max in that car. On lap 36 of 46, 10 more laps to run. Can he catch Canapino? At this rate, he gained 0.4 seconds in Sector 1 alone. Can he catch Canapino in the next 10 laps? By the looks of it, absolutely. By the way, Menno Klont has just come out of the pits, presumably onto the prime tyres. Yes, he's onto the prime tyres. So Kantonen then back into P3, but 29.5 seconds off the lead. We can write him out for any chance of victory. Look at P5 here. We said that the wet tyre was the wrong choice, and you can just see it. Florian Gehr flying past James Johnson. Not much sense in that, I don't think. Not much sense at all. Johnson just understeering all over the place. Yeah. He's just gifted P5 to Gehr there. But good for Gehr at least. Considering he was in the bottom half of the point scorers. Now he's looking at a P5 on debut. So a very good, very, very, very good job from the German there. Very happy for him. Let's look at the gap between Wixie and Koivunen. This was an interesting one. The gap between Koivunen and Wixie is now 11 seconds. Still not enough for Wixie to be able to say, yes, this strategy was definitely the best strategy to go for, necessarily. But it's getting there. And if it keeps... Oh my word. Gap between the leads is now 1.9 seconds. Canapino really struggling, it seems. And I'd imagine that this race lead is going to be Ranieri's very shortly. And oh my word, Canapino struggling so much. And oh, look at this. Johnson is into the pits. Dave, you get your money. And he's lost position to Wixie as well. And to Koivunen. Where's Liechtenstein? He might lose it to Liechtenstein. No, he won't lose it to Liechtenstein. Not bad. Is he on to the options at least? Yes, he is. At least they made the right strategy call there. But look at this. He's been lapped. That is definitely this. And oh, look at this. He's Johnson providing a bit of help to Ranieri as well. Or is he? Is he hindering him? Oh, dearie me. James. Get out the way. Blue flags, James. You made your mistake. The gap between the lead, though, seriously, is 9/10 of a second. Ranieri made up another second over the course of that lap and a bit. And it's really... Look at this. Canapino's now got traffic in the form of Tommy Koivunen to deal with. And yeah, well... Not good. Not good at all for the Argentine. But Canapino, what is he going to do here? What part is he? He's not going to play any part of this. He's going to cut the corner into... Oh, no! Koivunen! Oh. A bit lenient, I think, on the blue flag rule there for Koivunen. But here we go. This is Ranieri on Canapino. Look how defensive Canapino goes heading into turn one. But look at Ranieri. Look at those wings. Can he do it around the outside? Oh, there's almost contact. And Ranieri's run wide. But what a move from Ranieri. Oh, but Canapino's going to go back. Look at James Johnson there. What is Johnson doing? He is trying to go to the back of this battle. He shouldn't be there. Hold back, son. Canapino onto the back of Ranieri now. Onto the back straight. Can Ranieri hold on to it? Canapino looks out. But Canapino cannot make the move. James Johnson is holding on to the back of these three. I don't know why. Perhaps he thinks he can be a part of it. He should be. Oh, what a wiggle from Canapino there. I think that was an explosive few corners. But Ranieri has this quite solidly. The option tyre strategy working beautifully for the Italian. His middle stint was good enough to keep him within distance of Canapino. And on the option tyres here, his pace in the wet is supreme. And I'll tell you what, if he's going to win the Drivers... He has won the Drivers' Championship, but if he was going to win it, might as well win it in style and win it at the end of the season, is exactly what the Italian needs to show what a true class talent he is. And I certainly hope, whatever Super League team he is with next season, I cannot wait to see what he does, because he will certainly be a credit to any team that does sign him. Looking back then, Kantonen still a solid P3 ahead of Menno Confor in gear 5. Mark Wicks still P6. And I can't really see the timing between himself and Koivunen now, but it looks like it's nearing 20 seconds actually. So Wicks might have pulled a bit of a masterstroke here actually. Super League veteran, let us not forget. Came here into the Supercup, looking for a bit of a fresh start, trying to be a bit more competitive again. And doing rather well here. Actually, and a P6 would be a lovely way to finish off a rather nice comeback season. James Johnson's still holding on to the back of Canapino. Not much really he can do there. He's limited by what Canapino does. Not much point in prepping him. Tommy Koivunen still there in P8 with Christoph Liechtenstein, looking for his best finish of the year in P9. Mikael Tumala still there in P10, and Martin Bulgin has now been lapped twice. He is P11, which I believe would be equaling his best finish of the year as well. So he may not be top 10, but certainly he's finishing. Which is, there's Koivunen! Oh, he's into the... Wait, no, he's not into the top 10. I was getting all excited there. No, Koivunen just had a spin. And there's Liechtenstein, actually, so, maybe Liechtenstein can look for 8, maybe? I don't know, but Bulgin unlaps himself from Koivunen. If Koivunen's on the same pace or quicker than him, he'll be lapped very quickly once again. Lap 40 of 46 here. 41, sorry, 46. 5 laps to go. And, well, I can't really make my mind up about this race. I don't know whether it's disappointed the viewers here. If you have feelings, then maybe I'm going to be having a little post on Facebook later. Perhaps you could share your thoughts about the race there. I mean, attrition rate was amazing. But in terms of racing, it was more about survival of the fittest, really, this race. There was the great battle between Koivunen and Wixie, Cantonen v Clont, Canapino v Ranieri, with a bit of Johnson mixed in for that short amount of time. Johnson's weird pit strategy, Wixie's weird pit strategy, which still could prove to be a masterstroke. We haven't seen how that will all end up yet. But definitely a weird race to end the season. Yeah, bizarre in every sense. But what a crazy end to a crazy season. And there's only 4 laps left as well. Ah, I feel sorry for Lewis as well. He's missed out on this. Wherever you are, Lewis, I hope you're having fun. I certainly do. The lead Ranieri has now over Canapino, by the way, is 2.8 seconds. So it's quite clear that the Italian, in these later stages, far more dominant than Canapino. Still a good result for Canapino. I'm not quite sure what he's going to be doing next year, actually. He should move up, because he is in that same category as Ranieri and Hardwick, and that he can make the best out of a bad car. At the same time, he really didn't turn up to much of the races, let's put it that way. Nice and simply, he only turned up at, what was it, Abu Dhabi. So, perhaps he might want a full season? I don't know. It's difficult to say. Let's see, Cantonen. I know Cantonen is looking to move up into Supercup. Clont should be staying in Supercup. Geyer, I presume, will be in Supercup. Wixie, not too sure. Johnson, I know, is doing FC next year. Koivunen should be Supercup. Liechtenstein, Supercup. Tumala, Supercup. Bolgin, Supercup. A lot of the field that you've seen here today, I know most of them have crashed out, but a lot of them should be Supercup, with the odd exceptions moving into Super League. A couple should be doing Formula Challenge next year. But I certainly hope that you are as excited for next year as I am. We don't know what the car's going to be like. You know, there's going to be brand new setups probably to look at, new tracks, RFE. It might very well be, actually, the last time that we use R-Factor for the career ladder. There's a thought. We, of course, have R-Factor 2 debuting with the Masters Series. We're halfway through the Masters now. Been a bit crash happy as a series, but lots of fun. Lots and lots of fun. And there's been so many surprise podiums and great racing that it's certainly made a positive impact on the GPVWC audience overall. A lot more people warming to it, a lot more people actually wanting to upgrade their PCs or just to get it in general, because it is the next step in sim racing. You know, we've got rubbering in, proper RFE to come, cars which don't instantly stick to the road. Really fabulous simulator, and if you want to try it, there is a demo out. Absolutely go and try that. There's all Canton has a bit of a sideways moment there. Oh! We have good news, apparently. Dave has just informed me that Lewis is on his way. 44 laps into this race, and Lewis McGlade is going to join us. Well, to be fair, actually, Dave, I did join, like, for the interview bit for World GT, and absolutely failed at that because my uni internet was terrible, and I didn't have my proper microphone. But it would be nice to get his thoughts on the season as well, because he has been... Lewis, are you there?
Maybe.
Hello there, Lewis. How have you been?
Terrible. As you do.
Terrible?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No,
What's
it's
happened?
fine. I was, 12 o'clock midday, I was like, this is going to be good. I'm going to get myself some sleep, wake up, be all refreshed for the broadcast, because I've only been sleeping for about 2 or 3 hours at a time. The one time, I sleep for about 9 hours straight, Supercup broadcast. Oh, well done.
Oh, Lewis.
I'm very sorry to everyone. I'm sorry.
Well, we've had a bit of a
I've
debatable.
noticed.
We've had a debatable race, Lewis. Hardwick crashed into Miko Sukas, retired his car early. Ranieri is Supercup champion. The attrition rate's been atrocious.
11 runners, I see.
11 runners, yeah. But Ranieri has been faultless. We had Canapino leading, Clont leading. We still have Mark Wicks out. He's the main point of interest at the moment because he's gone option. He still has to use the hard tyre, and the big question has been whether he will be able to overtake Tommy Koivunen through this strategy. But yeah, lots of attrition, and it's been a weird race. We've had a couple of really good battles, Koivunen v Wixie being the biggest of them. But there's been other bits which have been sort of Canada-ish. It's been a bit quiet in other places, and understandably so.
Yeah, I'm seeing that the 11 runners all a bit spread out as here, do.
Wixie's in.
Righty.
This is the thing we've been looking out for. And the question is, has Wixie's option hard tyre strategy been the right one? Lewis, are you in the room?
In the
broadcast, yeah.
I am not. I don't think
Right.
I can join.
We have we've got news through. I mean, Dave is saying that Wixie's on the option tyres again. He must be on primes. And if he is on primes, then it's worked out perfectly for him because he's miles ahead of Tommy Koivunen.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing on the live timing, that he's quite a long way in front of Koivunen. So
yeah,
he's actually apparently on my screen. He's out with JJ. So
he is, yeah.
So that's pretty good. But if he's out on the options again,
that's him.
That's going to really bite him again. I'm going to try and join stuff. I don't know if I can. I don't think I can.
Mind you, it is actually last lap. 46 out of 46. We've completely been ignoring him for most of this race. But here he is in full glory. Going out with absolute style. Your 2013 Drivers' Champion, Giuseppe Ranieri, takes the win here in Brazil. Well deserved, and a well-deserving champion as well. Agustin Canapino took the challenge to him, but ultimately his strategy was not the right one. He finishes P2, absolute light years ahead of the man coming home in P3. Oskari Kantonen is only his second outing here in Supercup. He got second last time, a more modest third place this time for the Vodbull Reserve. I was just saying, no Verneson or Rusu here today. Lewis, you might have noticed, but Kantonen doing a stand-up job for the team. P3, great points, and considering their starting positions were 10 and 11, yeah, that's a good return. Menno Klont comes home P4th after leading this race. Really good job from the Dutchman, a good sign-off for Motorforce. Florian Geyer, on debut, after being bogged down in the midfield, really shone through, and his speed has been noted by a lot of team principals here today. He finishes P5 ahead of James Johnson. Mark Wicks, it doesn't seem, has any problems. Okay, Wicks is on wets, I'm getting through. Yeah, Wicks was on wet tyres, so he was legitimately there. Yeah,
I suppose that counts.
Well, it's perfectly legitimate strategy, and he's finished P7 because of it. Good race from Wixie. Tommy Koivunen finishes in Centurion's highest ever finish, P8 with Christoph Lichtenstein, his season best, P9. I'm sure he'll be absolutely ecstatic with that. Mikhail Tumala finishes P10, and Martin Bolgin equals his best finish of the year, P11 for Scuderia Basilia. And we believe that might mean that Scuderia Basilia actually takes P2 in the Teams Championship as well. We still have to have confirmation about that, given that both Innovision cars retired from the race. Remember, Miko Sukas had Oscar crash into him first corner, Tom Parker with the disconnection. But yeah, that's still to be decided. And hopefully we'll have a markedly more smart person in terms of maths than me figure that out for us. And we'll be able to do some interviews. And we'll get your season thoughts as well, Lewis, since you've not being able to talk much, unfortunately. You've been dozing.
That's me.
That's
Hi.
you. Yeah. Wow, apparently we might have the rare honour of interviewing Giuseppe, which has never happened before. Never happened before on a Supercup broadcast.
Well, doesn't Oscar say that his English isn't too brilliant?
Indeed, but I'm sure he can give it a
Well,
go.
yeah, he can give it a go. It'd be a really interesting thing to do. Yeah, we've not interviewed him yet.
Do we have any Italian translators in the audience? Perhaps.
Wow, I don't speak Italian because you
Don't
know
you?
I know.
That's common knowledge, Lewis.
Is it?
Yeah. But anyway, let us crack on with the interviews. We're going to start off with Roy Schroten. Oh, dearie me, Roy. CSG's first double retirement since Monaco. We know you've won the team's championship, but in the end, not really your night, was it?
Yeah, just very disappointed to end the season like this. But we had fun. Congratulations to Giuseppe Ranieri. He really deserved it today. So yeah, a bit disappointed, but yeah, it was a good season. We had the team champion, and yeah, so I'm happy overall.
Now, in terms of you personally, I have been hearing a certain number of facts, and I'm not going to put out anything now, but I believe you are confirmed to be moving up next year. Can you confirm this?
Yeah, I can. I'm going to
I don't think we'll say what team, but I would just like to say personally, from everyone here, congratulations, because you absolutely deserve a Super League drive. And yeah, we wish you the best of luck next year. Racing with all those other Super League people is going to be rather exciting for you, I think.
Yeah, I do the last few races in this year's championship as well, and I very much enjoy it. A little bit more than Supercup even. So I'm very looking forward to it. I have some great results, but it's a whole new battle for me. It's new for me, a longer racer, but I'm very looking forward to it.
I'm glad to hear that. Standout job getting the team championship with Oscar and the other contributors to the CSG team's title. Best of luck for next year. Thank you, Roy.
Thank you for being here in the commentary chat every week. Along with
pleasure.
Lewis.
Absolute pleasure, sir.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
I'm glad you enjoy it. Right, well, that was Roy Schroten there. We move on now to James Johnson. JJ. Why did you go onto the wet tyre?
I was experimenting.
You were experimenting?
Yeah.
It
didn't quite go to plan, but yeah.
Was this a team call or was this a personal call?
I decided to call it myself, and it actually got wet enough for I think about a period of a lap or two, but it just dropped away rapidly.
Yes, it's a shame because you were well up with Ascari Canton, and actually, I know that you are planning on taking part in Formula Challenge next year, but this performance has really shown that you could easily move up into Super Cup next year. Are you still leaning towards Formula Challenge though, despite this strong showing?
I think I am, to be honest, because I really don't have much Formula based experience, so I could probably come up here and do well, but I think I'd rather take it a step at a time and not push myself too far into like wherever, and then end up out at sea getting lost doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing. I'd just like to take it a step at a time and then build myself into it.
I think that's a very measured view of it all, and if you do go into Formula Challenge or indeed Super Cup next year, for me personally, I wish you the best of luck then with it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You'll see me. You'll see me somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
In and amongst GPVWC.
Yeah.
Yes. So well done on your result. Anyway, that was James Johnson, and here we go then. For yeah, we don't. Okay, we don't know whether we've had Renier before. Some people think we have, but I think this is the first time actually we've had you in, Giuseppe. Is this correct?
Yes, I did another interview with Nick on Silverstone, maybe. Yeah, well, it's not easy for me speak English, so don't speak very don't speak very fast because I don't understand very much. Anyway, I can try to say something.
Certainly. Well, you are 2013 Supercup champion. You must be absolutely ecstatic with that.
Yeah, I am very happy about the title. When I joined on the league, I joined only for fun, and then when I saw that maybe I could take some victory, I tried to fight with Oscar. Anyway, today I wanted to win the title, but of course I wanted to win the race because win the title with a race win was very fantastic for me. So I am very happy. And congratulations with Agustin that make a very good that did a very good race.
It is the perfect way to end the season, I guess. Looking to next year, are you planning to make the step up to Super League?
So yes, I have something for the next year with a team, but the problem is that I don't know if I will race next year. So I must see my time, my free time, and then I decide if I will decide if I will run. Of course, if I can, I won't run on Super League.
Well, we certainly hope to see you there next year. Thank you very much for actually coming in and talking with us. A rare pleasure. Congratulations on taking the 2013 title, though.
Thanks, James.
Right, that was Giuseppe there, and very impressed actually. You know, to have such a good grasp of English. You know, considering that Italian is fully first language. Then we move on to Menno Klont led the race. Unfortunately, just missed out on a podium. Kantonen, in the end, too strong for you.
Yes, yeah, that was too bad, but overall I'm very happy with my pace and everything around it. It was very good, the race today, and yeah, well, I think the rain cost us. I think Kantonen had a slightly better setup in the rain, but yeah, must be said, Oscari was really fast, and I tried to, well, keep on, but yeah, he was too fast. But still, I'm very happy. I didn't make non-mistakes, and yeah, so overall very happy. I jumped to 4th place in the championship, if I'm correct, and that's, well, it's a dessert.
It was a really good last flourish from you actually. Multiforce just seemed to be bogged down for since pretty much the mid-season, which is a real shame. But a great finish to the season. Looking to next year, the sort of emotions I've been getting from you is that you want to stay with Multiforce for next year. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm in agreement to do next year with Multiforce.
There we go. Driver confirmation right here. Well, I am very happy for you, and well, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to be excited to see what you can do next year. It
Yes.
seems like all the big boys are moving up now. Time for it was definitely your time
Well, yeah.
to shine next year.
Yeah, well, the aim is well, not that low, but yeah, next year I want to score the podium, and yeah, for tomorrow I will drive the Super League race as well for Red Archer. So
There we
another
go.
another thing. So yeah, I'm happy to announce that, and yeah, it's dessert. So yeah, really happy to do a Super League race as well. So yeah.
You sound it. Well, best of luck with your Super League race. You sound genuinely excited about it, and that's
Yes, of course.
that's great to hear, considering all the
Thanks.
sort of downed emotions we had with Oscar and all it. Good to have some happiness
Yes.
in the room. So well done on your result, Menno. And good luck with your race tomorrow. Looking
Yep.
forward to seeing you next year.
Of course.
Next up, we have Florian Geyer. In general practice, Florian, you look like you were generally going to be taking the fight to Renier. Unfortunately, didn't fall your way in the race, but still, P5 on debut is an extremely good achievement for yourself.
Yeah, thanks. The quality was okay. I think P4 isn't too bad. On the start, I dropped the clutch and was a pretty terrible start. I got hit in the back, and the car was damaged quite a lot on the lap back into the pits, so I nearly lost it a couple of times there. But then I think I had good pace. I accidentally overfueled the car in the pit stops. I didn't know I had to remove the fuel, so I was driving with 30 plus laps of fuel. Didn't help, but still, I think I had good pace, and P5 isn't too bad, although I would have liked the podium on my debut.
Well, onwards and upwards, I guess. Looking to next year, are you able to divulge your plans at all? Because it seems like you'd be a really, really good fit for Supercup here. Although, that said, you haven't had a full season in Formula Challenge, and presumably you'd be rather competitive there as well.
I don't know about next year. It's not up to me to decide what I'm gonna do. I would love a Supercup, but yeah, just wait and see what happens.
Sometimes the best course in action is just to wait and see what comes along. Well, whatever you do, Florian, we wish you the best of luck with it.
Thank you.
Right, and our final interview then is David Junt, who is team principal of Scuderia Basilia. I still haven't had word through on whether you have actually taken P2 in the constructors, but that aside, you must be incredibly happy with your two drivers today, P1 and P11. Giuseppe with the driver's title. What a way to end the season.
Yeah, that's true. I'm really thrilled. I'm really happy with these guys. It's such a great last race, and for Giuseppe to take the title here, that's just awesome. Also, already congratulate him basically on the finish line, and it was thrilling to see how he overcame the bad weather and came back to take the win. And for Martin to take P11, I think his best result of the season. I was really happy. And still, of course.
Lewis, apparently you have some... Oh, okay, Lewis has just come through to me. Apparently you are second in the constructors.
Basically, during the race I was running game in window mode and I was calculating the points beside of the race. There was basically, I did know that if Giuseppe took the lead while Martin just keeps 11th place, we would be second in the team championship, and that's why I was kind of sweating until the end of the race. And it was really awesome to see Giuseppe, not just getting the championship for himself, but also second for us. Even though I would have never pressed him to do, it's just a great race that worked out in our way. Just because Innovation retired and Oscar sadly had his early retirement, so I guess for the title race, it was the excitement was away a bit, even though we had a great battle for the win. I just want to say about some say that races, 1 or 2 races, looking at them, they said it's boring. Yeah, I can understand that, but at the same time, he was gaining points on Oscar, and that what made the championship exciting until the last round. And yeah, so we had to look forward to something tonight.
Absolutely, crack out the champagne or something. I think my final question to you, David, is going to be quite clear. Ranieri is moving up to Super League. What are your plans for next year with the team?
Well, I can already say that I haven't applied for a spot in Super League because I prefer to keep the team in Supercup for now, which is making a bit things easier for managing, and I like getting some new drivers or some talented drivers new chance, even though I'm probably not one of the best teams, but well, so I'll keep the team in Supercup if we can, and well, as Giuseppe leaves, we have to search for, well, new blood, new talent. Not quite sure what will happen, but I think I can get some good drivers again. But I think nothing really is gonna beat this season with P2 in the championship and that string of wins and points finishes. So I can just say a big thank you and well done, congratulazione to Giuseppe Ranieri and also to Martin Bulgin. And Gianni Vannon, of course.
Of course. Well, lovely words from the team principal there. Thank you for joining us, David, and Giuseppe, Menno, everybody else. Pleasure to have you all in the interview room. Final interviews of the year. I'm going to interview you, Lewis. What are your thoughts on the season as a whole?
Well, yeah. You say as a whole. I mean, we kind of joined at South Korea, and we watched a couple of it before. But no, I mean, it's been really interesting because I think we joined at the time when things really started to look interesting. You had Oscar catching on Ryan Walker, and then when he passed him in Italy, it kind of turned its way around a bit. And then things started to get really interesting to see where things would go. And Giuseppe seriously earned this championship. I mean, you look at it since Canada, which was round 7, he's been on the podium every single time, which is incredible consistency. So, to state that point, he has seriously earned this championship. And I will back this up that from David, saying that people have said that it's unfairly, not unfairly, but it's been a bit boring. And that I'm one of those people who kind of thought that it went through a point of being really, I wouldn't say really boring. It just it had bits where you were kind of like, oh, it's the same result again. And then it got really exciting again because we just weren't sure what was going to happen. And I wasn't there when Oscar dumped this race, but it's been an interesting championship of ups and downs for some drivers. Hearing some get a bit disheartened at it. I think that was Oscar back in Manicourt when he was not looking too happy to continue. But we've had a good championship, I think, and a good solid one that hopefully going into the future, we've got a lot of talent coming up from Formula Challenge. Maybe some staying about a bit. I think we're going to have a seriously interesting year next year as to who is going to be the 2014 Supercup champion.
The only way that you're going to be able to find that out at home is if you tune in next year. To be brutally honest, we don't know whether Melbourne's going to be opening round. It might be, it might not. But keep an eye on GPVWC.co.uk or .com, I don't know which one, whatever one it is, .com, there we go. For any news on that, sign or like the Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and as soon as we get news of the calendars, the various calendars that we have here, it will be shared with you. And seriously, next year is looking so good. As for other racing, we've got the finale of the Super League to be decided. Lucas Euler versus Ruud Heesterbeek. Can Lucas Euler make it 2 in a row? And after that, next Monday, it is next Monday.
It is next Monday. I'll be racing.
It is the International Touring Cup's debut with, I think it's 40 cars or so, hopefully, on track at Imola. that is certainly one to watch out for with Simon Smith commentating. I'll be watching, and I hope you'll be watching too. Once again, I'm going to thank Nick Rowland, Philip Cullen, Lewis here, Tom Parker, Dave Carr-Smith for a fantastic season of Supercup. My name's been James Kirk, and to all of you at home, have a lovely evening. Goodbye for now.